I know we lost, but the reason I'm smiling is because Lance Stevenson, magic. Every time the guy puts on a Pacers uniform and goes out there in the field house, the fans love him. He feeds off the energy, and then tonight, everyone thinks he's washed up. People, think he's just a legacy signing. He goes out, he drops 30 points and 5 assists. Not only does he score 30 himself, but he play makes for others very well and gets 5 assists, plays good defense. He was just really good in all facets of the game today. He was just a beast. He was a beast. The first player in NBA history to score 20 points off the bench in the first quarter. He scored 20 points in 6 minutes. That is on pace for 140 points. 20 points, 6 minutes. Each quarter is 12 minutes. He had 3 left. 20 plus 20 is 40. 40 times 3, 120 plus the 20 he scored. On pace for 140 points. That is insane. He ends up going for 30. Man, the guy's just a beast. The guy's a beast. And to get Lance full time, I've said this multiple times, I'm going to say it again. You can't cut Kiefer Sykes. The guy just had an 18-point game with 5 assists himself, and he's so much fun to watch. He's a good player too. So you don't want to cut Kiefer Sykes for Lance. Another small, low contract guy, you don't want to cut Kelan Martin for Lance because he's a young guy. Carlisle likes him, stuff like that. I like him. Now what you do, you guys have heard me say this 100 different times. You trade Jeremy Lamb for a second-round pick. You can definitely make that deal work. Any team in the NBA that needs a wing will take Jeremy Lamb for a second-round pick. You trade Jeremy Lamb for a second-round pick. You then, you got an open roster spot, and Herb Simon will like this because Lance will sign for the minimum. He will sign for the minimum. So it's only like $1 million or $2 million. Way less than Jeremy Lamb's $10.5 million contract plus incentives. If he has incentives, I would assume he does. But Lance, he signs for the vet minimum. You get Lance, you get that. You get that for a whole season. Carlisle likes Lance because not only does he score like Jeremy Lamb, possibly even better than Jeremy Lamb, he defends way better than Jeremy Lamb. And then, off the bench, you have a backcourt of TJ McConnell and Lance Stevenson. That is filthy scary. That is probably the most pestiest backcourt in the history of the NBA. That backcourt will ensue so many guys wanting to fight them that it's crazy. Both those guys are just pests. They're just pests. Nobody in the NBA likes it when they're guarding them. They don't like it because they're pests. And it's beautiful to watch. And I think having them on the same team, and then you throw Kiefer Sykes into the mix, who's also a pest. Oh my goodness. Just a scary mix. It's a beautifully scary mix. And you got nothing to lose because we're tanking. We're not winning. So you don't have to worry about this affecting us winning because we're not trying to win. At this point, you're just trying to be entertaining. So you keep fans around throughout the rebuild. You want to know how you do that? Lance Stevenson. Lots of teams do it where they bring back beloved players during a rebuild to get people to still buy tickets so that you still make money and you can support a rebuild. Here you go. Here's your chance. You just keep Lance, and you don't cut Kiefer Sykes. You don't cut Kelan Martin. You don't cut any of these guys, really. You trade Jeremy Lamb for a second-round pick. Domas had a good game. He had 32 points. Miles, I have no idea why he was taken off the floor when closing. Because the reason the Nets pulled away is because of wide-open layups. You know who prevents wide-open layups? Miles Turner. So what's the strategy there? What are you trying to do? What's the point of that? But like I said, Kiefer Sykes had a pretty good game. Dwayne Washington was inefficient, but he still scored 10 points and had a decent game. I mean, Miles scoring wise was eh. Justin Holiday, I think, had an underrated game. He did what he's paid to do. That was make spot up 3-pointers. Easy. O'Shea Brissett had like 8 points and hustled for rebounds, just normal O'Shea Brissett things. Overall, despite the loss, good game for the Pacers. I enjoyed it immensely. That was fun. Like that had me up and down, screaming, yelling at my TV in a good way. Like when Lance scored his 30th point, I went crazy. I was pacing around my room, my living room, waiting for Lance to score the 30 points. I haven't felt that excited since, those teams back in the day. Probably the last time I felt that excited was when the Pacers made that comeback against the Pelicans last year, where there were under 2 minutes left to go and they were down by 10, and they made the comeback and they won that game in overtime. That was crazy. And you want to know who was on that team? Victor Oladipo. That was before we traded him. It's only guys from that 2018 roster who can produce 2018-like moments. Probably the only guy that I've seen produce moments like that isn't from the 2018 roster, Chris Duarte. To be honest, it's Chris Duarte. And I don't find that surprising. Chris Duarte is really the only guy who gives me those kind of vibes, we need to get Lance on a full-time contract. I'm close to saying I don't care what it takes, but I want them cutting Kiefer Sykes for him, because Kiefer deserves an NBA roster spot too. That dude's crazy. Dude's a great basketball player. If we don't keep him, someone else is going to scoop him up, and then he's going to be playing really good for them. We're going to be like, oh, wait, I wish I had that guy. Could we lobby for the NBA to give us an honorary 16th roster spot for Lance? I wonder if that'd be possible. Could do that. Again, easier option. You get rid of a guy that's in high demand. A wing off the bench is what a lot of teams want. And you've been trying to trade him for a while now. Doesn't really fit the system. Trade him for a second-round pick. You get Lance on the roster. Full-time roster spot for Lance. See you guys next time. As always, I'm not funny, and Lance Stephenson, quoting someone I saw say this on Twitter: Indiana is Lance Stephenson. Lance Stephenson is Indiana. That's pretty self-explanatory and pretty true. See you guys next time.
Just got unlucky on a few plays tonight. One of those plays, I thought he was standing still, but he just hit the shit out of that one guy, and the guy went flying. They blew the whistle, and they called it on him.